Welcome to Above Replacement Radio. I am your host, Chris Gianta. You know what Christy Mathewson wasn't worried about? SIERA. When you're thinking about Pedro Siriaco, I mean, the only one that can compete is maybe Hannes Wagner's 1908 season. Over there on the other side of the screen is Daniel Curran.
Like, if we just clip together every time we've talked about him on other people's profiles, we've done a Mickey Cochran episode.
I can't get past Rabbit Marinville. It's not necessarily Hall of Fame. It's not necessarily above average, but we can guarantee you we are better than just the standard replacement level college sophomore.
And welcome to Above Replacement Radio, where we're talking baseball kind of whenever. I am 2021 Springfield College co-rec intramural softball champion and your host, Chris Gianta. Over there on my actual left is 2021 Springfield College co-rec intramural softball champion Daniel Curran. How you doing, Daniel?
Chris, I am doing amazing. It was a crazy night last night. As you mentioned, we are co-champions. We are champions. Yes. We basically won the World Series in between recordings.
Yeah, we did. After a long playoff journey of two games, we made it through, you know?
We did. Chris played a hell of an outfield in those two games in the playoffs.
Yeah, I did not make an error out there.
No. we don't need to talk about how many fielding opportunities you got.
Yeah, exactly. Just, error. It's old school, but you can't make errors,
Exactly. It doesn't matter what your fielding percentage is. You just don't want to be out there making errors.
Yep.
Chris did hit cleanup for our team, and he hit a monster home run in the penultimate game.
Yeah.
And then we played in the rain in our championship game.
Yeah, 1925 Game 7 vibes.
Literally, we were talking about this. We were like, man, this is how Walter Johnson must have felt when he was out there in, what was it, Pittsburgh?
Yeah.
Yeah.
In Pittsburgh.
We were on the good side of it, though.
Yeah, we were, we faced a team that had beat us 23-8 previously, but we beat them 19-15 on the back of some good plate discipline, I guess you would say.
We let off an inning with 7 straight walks.
Yep. So that's how that went. That's how we scored a bunch of runs.
It was very cheap.
Yeah.
We also intentionally walked some of the best hitters on the other team as well.
Yep.
Because analytically, you got to be thinking analytically, a walk is actually a win in slow pitch softball.
Yeah, the average. Your average cleanup hitter in intramural softball probably has, like a 1,500 OPS, about,
Maybe even higher.
And let's also mention slow pitch softball. So this is pretty big stuff.
It's also a field with no fence, so there's no home runs unless you hit it over everyone's heads and you're fast enough.
Yeah, exactly. So, we kicked in the strategy and, we came out on top.
They always say play smarter, not harder.
Exactly.
And that's what we did. We took the money ball route of winning, and it worked.
We did. And we have a T-shirt to show for it.
Absolutely.
So, yeah, it's been a been a great night of celebration, and now it's time to talk.
Now we just get right back into it.
Yeah.
No days off. We win last night. We're out here talking about baseball the next morning.
Yeah.
Or afternoon, rather.
Yeah, morning for me,
I had class about 2.5 hours ago, so I've been up.
Yep. So, yeah, we're talking baseball over here, and not many headlines to go over. No one doing particularly good or bad in the past week.
The Giants are good.
Giants are good. Dodgers are slipping a little bit.
The Brewers are good.
I was going to put in the, Dodgers struggles as a subject, but then they go on and win yesterday.
To be fair, did you see who they faced?
They faced, was it a guy?
Alec Bettinger from the Brewers came up from Double-A, made his Major League debut, and gave up 9 runs in his first 3 innings, and then even more later in the game. It was the replacement for Corbin Burns, which is pretty sad.
Yeah.
The Cubs lost in a game where they scored 12 runs for the first time since 2006.
Oh, yeah, that's right. I didn't catch any of that game, but it looked like a blast.
It was. One thing I was very upset about in the Dodgers game, the Brewers had not struck out a single Dodger hitter in the 8th inning, and I was like, oh my god. I was like sitting on it where it was like this would be. I think it was like the first time since like easily pre-integration that the Dodgers had like scored 16 runs in a game without a strikeout, and then 3 batters struck out in the last 2 innings. I was like, thanks guys, you ruined it.
Man,
Like I can't even do like a like I actually checked it. The last time they scored 16 runs with 1 strikeout was exactly 1947.
yeah.
So I was like, all right, I was sitting on it like first time since 1947. Now they struck out 2 times in the 9th inning. It basically ruined it. And it was the first time since like 2008 or something like that. Like who cares?
You'd think the Brewers would be throwing out a position player at that point,
I know, but they did, especially with I mean, to be fair, they made Bettinger go 4 innings to give up 11 hits, 11 runs, 2 walks, and no strikeouts.
Boy, yeah.
2 grand slams allowed.
The Brewers just let him have it.
Yeah.
Just eat up innings for us, Bettinger. But yeah, Dodgers have been slipping a little bit. They salvaged a non-sweep last night.
A
gentleman's sweep. Brewers took 3 out of 4. They're looking pretty good right now.
I think they still only have a 1-game lead in the division though, because the Cardinals swept the Pirates in 4. Yeah, they do.
Naturally.
Yeah.
But looks like those teams are particularly heating up. But I mean, there's really not that much to talk about in terms of standings or surprises. It looks somewhat similar. I mean, I guess the Red Sox dropped 3 out of 4.
The NL East is pretty cool.
Yeah, I mean, crazy Phillies Mets series. I didn't really catch any of it, but I heard a ton of.
You caught some of it.
Yeah, I caught some of it.
You caught like the first 2 innings of it on Friday.
Until Robbie Ray took the mound for the Blue Jays.
Yep.
Then we had to switch that. But yeah, I mean, last night was crazy with the Rhys Hoskins situation.
That was nuts.
For those unaware, it was 8-5. There were 2 men on, 2 men out, I believe, for Rhys Hoskins. Hoskins hits what appears to be a home run, but it's under review. It's off the railing, which is in play. So, it turned out to be a double, and then the Phillies eventually lost. And it was originally called a home run, which is why it was a big disappointment for the Phillies. So
I was ready to see that game go on.
Yeah, I mean,
I was kind of upset, but oh well.
But yeah, the NL East looks, very interesting.
The Marlins are in last place, 2.5 games behind the division-leading Nationals and Mets, who are exactly 500.
Yeah, there's no one above 500 in the division.
This is like supposed to be one of the most competitive divisions. Like, there's 3 or 4 really good teams that have a legit chance. Nah, everyone's 500 at best.
Well, I mean, I guess, it depends how you define competitive.
It is competitive, but we're looking like we got 90-win teams in here. We might have 100-win teams in here.
Yeah.
Like, this division is going to be like the Monstars.
Yeah, they're
competing against each other.
Yeah, like they're competitive. They're all within 2.5 games of each other.
Exactly.
30 games-ish into the season. So, yeah, it's pretty interesting. And you really don't know the direction it's going in. We're still waiting on the Braves to get hot.
They've lost 4 in a row.
Yeah, so I don't know the exact issue there. It might be there are pitching problems because Max Fried has been on the IL. Mike Soroka is still not really back yet. So they're really relying on Ian Anderson and some of the surrounding, and Charlie Morton and some of the surrounding crew.
Yeah, they got swept by the Blue Jays in Dunedin this weekend. I think that's how you pronounce it.
Yeah. So yeah, that's kind of the happenings of baseball. But I think that what's been a pretty big talking point for the past couple weeks has been, the offensive numbers. And, we talked about it, how it kind of surfaced the headlines that baseball was going to try to, deaden the baseball from 2019 was the peak juice ball year. And, anyone who was watching could kind of pretty clearly see that. And they're going to try to deaden the baseballs in 2021. But then also they're proposing to the Atlantic League, or they're having the Atlantic League
which is an independent league, push back the mound 1 foot to see what that does for the offense. So offense. I think they put it out on MLB Network. Like the lowest average since this year, lowest
since 1968.
Yeah, lowest. And this is also April average, so you can't really say like, oh, this is a small sample size.
And it's like like bad weather, like the ball's not going to go as far when it's colder.
Yeah, no, it hasn't been this bad. Whoops, hasn't been this bad in April in terms of average since 1968, and hasn't been this bad in terms of OPS in April since 1992. And 92 is like kind of before steroids came into the game. Then offense kind of shot up. But yeah, what are our thoughts on this?
I just want to get this out of the way. The people that talk about launch angle is the reason for all this, you can leave. You're not correct. Launch angle is like kind of just thrown at the wall as like, it's like the redheaded stepchild essentially. Like it's to blame for everything. It's like the face of new age analytics. It's like, oh, they're looking at the launch angle. They want to hit home runs. Yeah, they are looking to hit home runs, but launch angle has nothing to do with the fact that pitchers are nastier than ever now.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Like home runs are actually down too.
Yeah, this year specifically, yeah.
Mm-hmm. Which that could probably be because of a deadened baseball, but I mean, like the league is doing essentially everything to help pitchers out in this game. Like they're deadening the baseball.
Mm-hmm.
Like they're literally, I mean, they're enhancing, like, I don't know, they're doing a lot of stuff to help the pitchers out.
Yeah, launch angle is such a broad term used nowadays. Like, if you're trying to hit line drives, that also requires a certain launch angle.
Yeah, every single batted ball has a launch angle.
Yeah.
Even in the 60s and 70s and 80s when there was little offense.
Yeah.
There was launch angle then. People were probably talking about launch angle then, but in a different sense.
Yeah, and
like when you say you're trying to get on top of the baseball, like that's a change in launch angle than if you're trying to get below it or in the middle.
Exactly. Yeah.
Like people have been talking about launch angle for years. They just haven't been using the word launch angle. That's what's getting people fired up.
Yeah, right. When Cap Anson was having a league leading 2 home runs, he was using launch angle.
Exactly.
That entire season.
Yeah.
Who could forget? But yeah, like, and it's weird that hitting analytics kind of get blamed because I feel like pitching analytics in the past 10 years
that's the thing. Like
have
spin rate
advanced so much further.
I think
than
spin rate
hitting.
has been doing what people think launch angle has been doing. The emphasis on that.
Exactly, and we pretty much agree on all this, but I mean it's not just the individual pitchers. It's the fact that it's the fact that each roster has 7 or 8 different guys that strike out about 30% of the batters that they face. So they have 7 or 8 guys that are throwing 97 plus. If you're throwing 95, you're kind of par for the course at this point. Also, spin rate plays a big factor. Pitching development in the minor leagues kind of plays a big factor. They have guys doing, plyometric, plyometric balls, the drive line baseball sort of stuff. They're also having guys, modernize the way they train their bodies, training to have stronger legs as opposed to ignoring like the weight room or whatever. But, that's a conversation to be had. But yeah, I feel like pitching analytics have advanced further than hitting analytics in the past, 10 years or whatever.
And, like people talk about strikeouts being up as well. And that's kind of just because first of all, front offices have kind of accepted that home runs are the most efficient way to score runs.
Mm-hmm.
And, with the modernization of pitchers comes the modernization of power hitting as well.
Yeah.
Like you have, you mentioned you have 7 to 8 guys on a roster that can strike out 30% of the batters. You have like 2 to 4 guys on each roster that can poke 30 home runs if they really tried.
Yeah, exactly.
I'm willing to bet on every team there's at least 2 to 4 guys who are capable of doing it. Even like the Pirates.
Right.
Like I'm willing to bet if you took a full season, these 2 have a chance Like Colin Moran would be the number one guy, and Ryan Hayes also.
Right, exactly.
And with that being said, like pitches are so much harder to hit, so it's just not as realistic nowadays that you're just gonna string some hits together.
Mm-hmm.
Like it's if you can get a couple guys on, walks are at a relatively high point, historically speaking as well. Not necessarily in comparison to recent years, but sort of just throughout the history of the game, we're going through a big cycle of walks being popular. That's sort of taking the place of singles now, in a way.
Yeah. And if we if approach changed, I don't know how much the batting average gets affected. I'm gonna look at some of the major league averages of the past.
That's what I'm doing.
However many years, but yeah, it's 234 at the moment as of this recording. I'm trying to think pre-juice ball era, even 2014. 2014 was 251 league batting average, and that was a very non-offensive year. So, but yeah, the OPS was around the same. So
then one other thing I've picked up on is a lot of people talk about how this is the lowest. This is the lowest year of batting average there's ever been. If the season ends today, it's the lowest league-wide batting average in the history of baseball since 1871. And there's all these comparisons being thrown around with 1968, the year of the pitcher. Do you want to know what the league-wide slugging was in 1968 compared to what it is today?
It was had to be like 330 something.
340.
340.
And now it's 392.
Yeah.
It is 50 points higher.
And
also
there's still 5 months to play.
Yeah, and home runs are being hit at double the rate that they were in 1968, or just about double the rate. Close to
and
it.
I bet if you went over to pitching, ERA looks a lot different as well. Like the league average ERA in 1968 was right around 3.
Yeah, I mean, there's emphasis on extra base hits now.
Yeah, exactly. Like, if average is becoming lower, you're gonna, if straight up just making contact with the ball is gonna be harder, it's gonna be harder to get hits, gonna be harder to get on via balls in play.
Like David Fletcher is looked at as such a special player because he just sprays the ball all over and he's a primary singles hitter. That was just your average guy in the 80s.
Exactly.
Like David Fletcher was an 80s baseball player pushed into the 2000s, and he's getting praised for playing the game 30 years too late.
Yeah, exactly. Like when we talk about Whit Merrifield, we're talking like this guy's old school.
Yeah.
When he's, it makes sense. That's a guy, that's your average guy in the 80s, hitting 315, swiping 40 bags. That's your average guy.
With a relatively low slugging in comparison. I should say low ISO. That's what I should say.
Yeah. Should we talk about what moving the mound back might look like?
Yeah, I mean, I have very mixed feelings about it because I don't think, first of all, I don't think it's going to have a significant difference on the actual offensive numbers in the game. Like, I think people are really underestimating how short of a distance 1 foot is when we're looking at 60 feet 6 inches in comparison anyway.
Yeah.
Do you know how much they moved the mound? They lowered the mound after 1968.
Was it 2 feet?
5 feet.
5 feet.
Yeah, it went from 15 feet high to 10 feet high. They changed the mound by 33%. They took a third of the mound down. That's a drastic change, and I mean, I don't think anyone complains about it nowadays. I think people are just scared of change.
Yeah,
like, we've always it's natural for humans to be scared of change. 1 foot distance back on the mound is literally nothing.
Yeah, right. And, it's been the exact distance since 1893.
Yeah.
So it's been, its 129th year in existence, I believe.
Yeah, and guess what? I don't think pitchers were throwing 98 in 1893.
Exactly. There's been a debate on whether it will help or hurt because obviously it'll be easier to hit fastballs, but some are making the argument that, breaking balls, anything that moves is going to move more, which might make it harder. My take on it is, sure, it might move more, but you're going to have a little more time to identify the pitch that's coming and be able to time it out. Any thoughts on what that could potentially do?
I mean, I'd be interested to see. I don't really know in my head what sort of takeaways I would have.
But I mean, my view on the whole thing, I think 1 foot might give like a boost of offense. Like
I think it might too, because
like,
the approach is going to stay the same.
Yeah,
like, people are still going to be going for extra base hits and home runs.
I could see like maybe between 10 and 20 point increase in league wide OPS, which just happens naturally, pretty much.
Yeah, it does. Like between 18 and 19, even it happened.
Yeah.
728 OPS league wide in 2018, 30-point increase in 2019.
Yeah.
And I know 2019 was the peak of the juice balls, but people were talking about it in 2017 too. 2017 had a 750 OPS.
Right. And yeah, something happened in 2018. I don't know what it was, but
yeah,
there was a little drop off in between those years.
And I mean, now we got a 702 compared to a 740 last year.
Yeah, yeah. And I thought the OPS would increase because I think we started talking about it after like the third weekend of the season ish. It was like 18 days into the season where it was like the league average is 233, the league OPS is around 700. I thought the OPS would have increased a little more by now, so maybe this is a trend for how the year is going to go.
All right, over under 710 at the end of the year.
I'm gonna take the over. Okay. I think it'll be 713.
Yeah, I would take the over as well. I'd say like 715.
Yeah, but still, a pretty big drop off from 2020 and especially 2019, and we all know why. But yeah, I guess that wraps up that. That's really all the news we had to talk about.
Did you see the tweet from Zach Campbell where he was like, he took a picture of like the Yankee Stadium like lineup scoreboard where like half the guys in the Yankees lineup were like below the Mendoza line, and he did like the alternating capital letters where he's like, batting average isn't an important stat.
Yeah, it made.
I was like, what are you trying to prove here?
Yeah.
Like, yeah, the Yankees lineup doesn't change the fact that batting average isn't that important anymore.
Exactly. Yeah.
It doesn't at all.
I don't know what it is.
Because guess what? The Yankees have been surging lately. They're a 500 team, and half the guys in their lineup are below 200. So what does that tell you?
Yeah, and they have a below league average OPS. So, and they're below 500. So I think it would make sense. Like, it was fun. Like, we have a friend where, he was like talking about Harmon Killebrew.
Oh.
And
they have an above average. Well, they have a 101 weighted runs created plus as a team, the Yankees. So they're technically above average offensively, and half their lineup is below the Mendoza line.
I think it takes up.
Yeah, look at this. They have a 221 average with a 101 weighted runs created plus.
Yeah, I think Park Factors might be taking a.
It could be, but
I don't know. I don't know how playing in Yankee Stadium.
Tampa Bay is hitting 223 with a 98 weighted runs created plus. Like, they're just about there.
But yeah, like I don't really know his point. I mean, if like their OPS is average and they're like an average team, so it kind of matches. So and their batting average, I hate to use the word so much, but their batting average looks very bad. But they're still like an average offense, production wise. But yeah, we were talking about Harmon Killebrew and like his, and the guy was our friend was talking about how batting average is more useful than OPS, and then he was talking about Harmon Killebrew, and we were like,
257 average.
Yeah,
256.
256 lifetime average.
Yeah,
and then he was like, yeah, but he had a bunch of homers, 573 homers. That's gonna count.
Yeah, and then, you're right.
And then I was like, if only there was a stat that could combine
that could weigh extra base hits into your batting average.
That could combine your ability to get on base and your ability to get bases,
total bases, and better yet, if only there was a stat that compares that number to like the league averages to see if you're above or below average on that. Expectancy.
Yeah, it's like it's so archaic, but yeah.
The irony of that was delicious.
It's just because whenever people never mention average on its own, like
unless it's like Tony Gwynn.
Yeah,
Which
exactly.
is like, I'll accept that as an outlier because he was just so ridiculous.
Yeah, when you're hitting 338, it's like, yeah, I can assume you're a good offensive player.
And even then, like, Tony Gwynn doesn't, he wasn't particularly an extra base guy. Like, he had a low 800s OPS career,
Yeah.
840. Okay, 847. He was mid.
847, yeah.
135 career home runs, 543 doubles. That's huge.
Yeah.
That's a lot.
But yeah, when people mention average, they carry along home runs and RBI because, a guy batting 300 with 7 homers on the year is a lot different than a guy hitting 300 with 35 homers on the year. But it's like, why? Let's skip all the steps and put in OPS.
Yeah. I saw a really interesting question during the offseason where it said, if you had the opportunity, would you accept a 333, 333, 333 hitter in your lineup for a full season?
Yeah. Well, like.
Yeah, I would put them ninth.
Yeah, 8th or 9th spot.
Yeah.
That.
Like, why not?
If he's catching, that's, I'll take that.
Yeah, that's true. Let's say it's like a center fielder.
But 300, 300, 300, I don't know about that.
Yeah.
I don't know about that unless he's in the Pirates lineup.
Yeah, I mean, like, you're taking a guy who gets a single a third of the time. He doesn't walk. He doesn't get extra base hits.
Yep.
He doesn't reach on error, doesn't get hit by pitch. He just hits singles a third of the time.
Yeah.
That's it.
Yeah, it's we've talked about this.
I think
Not
it
really
depends
on,
on
not
I think
really
it
on the show.
I'd say it depends on what the rest of your lineup looks like. Like if you're hitting ninth and you have a really strong top of the lineup that can drive him in.
Yeah.
Sure, but if you're looking at that as like one of the better hitters in your lineup, it's like, I'll pass.
Because also you don't want to put that guy first because he has a 300 on base percentage, which is not good.
Yeah.
Like you
333.
Or 330, but still it's like league average.
Yeah.
On base percentage. Yeah, you want to. Who is the leadoff hitter for the 2002 A's? I'm wondering.
Miguel? No, definitely not Miguel Tejada.
He was probably hitting middle of the order.
Yeah.
2002
Moneyball.
A's.
We're gonna look at their lineup from the last playoff game.
Yeah.
So that's where you usually start your.
Because if
lineup. We're looking at.
I wonder what their
Ray Durham. Yeah.
Ray Durham
noted 352 career OBP. That makes sense.
Pretty
that
good.
Makes a lot of sense.
And what was it?
820 career walks.
And in 2002, what
walk
was
percentage of 9.7? Yeah, that's a 2002 A's guy.
In 2002, what was his?
Especially as a second baseman too.
What was his on base?
350. But he only played 54 games with Oakland. He was a midseason acquisition.
Oh, okay.
Throughout the year, it was 374.
Okay. Yeah.
He had a 390 OBP with a 299 average when they got him.
Yeah.
In 96 games.
They were big fans.
Yes.
Not to mention in Moneyball.
That's a hero.
Yeah.
For Billy Beane. Yeah, literally almost a 10% walk rate as a second baseman. That's pretty impressive. That's like he and Rogers Hornsby.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. But yeah, that's I guess that's our tangent based portion of the episode.
Yep.
Now we get into some of our players to highlight for good and bad reasons. I provided 2 for each because I had a bit of time.
Ooh.
I had a bit of time.
Chris was feeling it today.
Yeah, I had a bit of time, and I figure
I have 2. I have 1 for each, and then I have a special thing that I'm doing.
Yeah,
that Chris doesn't know about.
Daniel's coming with a special award, making its debut today, but yeah, I figured we're only down to 1 a week at the moment, and also I had a bit of time, and we didn't have many subjects to go over, so I felt I should be providing 2, especially in a 1 per week episode. But yeah, we'll start off with our Monday, May 3rd, first episode of May, 2021 edition of. So who do you have to highlight?
So I'm going to be talking about the guy who led all position players in F4 between April 13th and the end of April. It is not Mike Trout. It is not Bryce Harper. It is not Chris Bryant. It is not Vladimir Guerrero Jr. It is Nick Solak. This guy was kind of a meme to me at the beginning of the season because ESPN projected him in fantasy baseball to be just above Key Brian Hayes, which I thought was hilarious.
Yeah.
But you know what? He's been out proving me wrong. From April 13th through the end of the month, he slashed 344, 417, 672 for a 1089 OPS. He had a 208 weighted runs created plus and 1.1 FWAR. That led, of course, all position players, qualified or not. And he's already accumulated more barrels in 2021 than he did in 2020. He had 10 barrels this year so far. He had 8 last year. And this has happened in exactly 100 less batted ball events. He had 171 batted balls last year. He's got 71 this year. And he's got 2 more barrels already. So Nick Solak has been very impressive to start this season on a Rangers team that desperately needs it.
Yeah, Nick Solak getting a... Yeah, surprising a lot of people, including you and I. My first how about that, actually was one of my players to watch, and he's continuing his trend from his last 4 starts last year. John Means. We got to talk about John Means. He's been doing very, very good. Since September 8th of 2020, going back to last year, he is 4th among qualified starters in ERA with a 1.63. This year, his ERA is 1.70 through 37 innings. And the last time, this is, an Orioles staff that, this is an Orioles pitcher. Orioles pitching, not the best resume. This is the last time, the last time an Orioles pitcher had 35-plus innings pitched and an ERA below 1.8 through their first 6 games before John Means was 1977 when Jim Palmer did it.
What a stat.
So it's been, shout out to StatHead's game span, new game span.
Yes, it's so good.
It's very good, yeah.
It's beautiful.
Shout out to the StatHead game span thing. But yeah, it's been 44 years. Yeah, 44 years since we've seen this type of pitching to start a season from a guy wearing an Orioles uniform. My second how about that is I've already mentioned a good offensive catcher from the NL Central. Time to do another. Omar Narvaez. He's hitting 368 with a 972 OPS, and his 12.7% strikeout rate is in the 91st percentile. That's in a good way, not meaning he has more strikeouts. He has less strikeouts than 91% of the league, less than a better strikeout rate. He also has an 89.6% zone contact rate. That's like 9 out of 10 times when the ball is being thrown in the zone, making contact with it. And against fastballs particularly, he is hitting at 459 and slugging 649. So don't throw this guy a fastball in the zone. And also, his xWOBA is in the 89th percentile. So this is not really luck. This is him just hitting the ball hard, looking good out there in the Brewers lineup, making an impact. So Omar Narvaez, look out for him being one of the best Brewers offensive contributors out there right now. So now on from the highs to the lows, where we're talking about players or any subject in particular not doing well. This is the Monday, May 3rd, 2021 edition of
Slightly alarming.
So who's looking slightly alarming from your end?
So I'm talking about a guy who was one of the premier power hitters in the league in the recent past, and he ended off on a bad note in 2020, and he sort of picked up where he left off this year. Looking at Eugenio Suarez. He's been really struggling for the Reds. Since September 14th of last year, he's played 37 games. He's slashing 152, 263, 341, 604 with 7 home runs in 37 games, which is still a decent 162-game pace, but overall, you got to see better numbers than that. He also has a BABIP of 200 over that time, which is the 4th worst out of 140 qualified hitters.
Reds.
So there's no doubt that he's getting wildly unlucky. But even with that, you got to expect more out of Eugenio Suarez.
Yeah, he has crazy strike. I think he leads the league in strikeouts.
Yeah, he does with 44.
Yeah. Yeah, he's been not hitting the ball well as of late. I'm also going with another NL Central theme, and also, I picked out a player to look for as one of my how about that's for this week. So I'm going with a player to look for as one of my slightly alarmants to balance things out. Kyle Hendricks, looking very alarming.
He's going tonight.
Yeah, he's going tonight. So, before this start, as he's going tonight, he has a 7.54 ERA, an 8.30 FIP, and 4 home runs per 9 in 22 and 2/3 innings pitched. He also has allowed the most home runs of any pitcher in baseball, and, it makes a lot of sense. His ground ball rate is 9.9 percentage points down from his previous career low. His line drive rate is 6.7 percentage points up from his previous career high, and his fly ball rate is 4.6 percentage points up from his previous career high. So, a lot more guys are lifting the ball against him. It might be a location problem from his end. He's at his best when he's getting ground balls and not getting ground balls as of late. And then he's given up a ton of homers, 10 home runs in 22 and 2/3 innings. Not good at all. And
that's the risk you take when you're the modern day Maddox.
Yeah.
Like, if that control gets away from you, you're going to be giving up 8 home runs per 9 in one of the most home run heavy eras in history.
Yeah, you're not going to be, accident. You're not going to be missing location and getting outs or getting swings and misses. If you're a guy like Hendricks. And my other slightly alarming is also a Cub. I hate to hammer the north side today, but going with another Cub, Ian Happ, looking pretty bad so far. He's currently hitting 148 with a 493 OPS. He has a 33% strikeout rate, and when he makes contact, this is very alarming, has a 60.7% ground ball rate. Before this year, it's never been above 47.1%, and his average launch angle is 0.5. Before this year, it's never been below 9, so it's about 8.5 below. About 8.5 below the rest of his years before this year. But yeah, Ian Happ. I guess for the sound clip, I should include Eugenio Suarez, Kyle Hendricks, and Ian Happ, all looking slightly alarming. So those are our players to highlight for good and bad reason. But Daniel has a monthly award being introduced. So take it away.
I'm not going to say anything, but you just opened the door for this. I'm going to be presenting an award every month to a player that fits a certain description, who I appreciate very much. Introducing the Carlos Santana of the Month Award. Carlos Santana in 2020 had a slash line of 199, 349, 350, 699 on the year with one of the best walk rates in baseball. So every month I will be highlighting a player who does virtually nothing on offense but is crazy good at walking. So, with that being said, the Carlos Santana of the Month Award winner for the month of April is Ian Happ. Chris is slightly alarming. Has done it. He slashed 133, 293, 173, 466 in the month of April with a 16.1% walk rate. That was tied for 10th in the majors. Ian Happ is the first recipient of the Carlos Santana of the Month Award.
Yeah, I love this. This is great. Oh man, yeah, because he walked a ton, but average and slugging were way down. Yeah, this is great. I'm looking forward to this every month. But yeah, amazing.
Ian Happ made it on both of our radars this week for different reasons.
I'm guessing you found that and came up with that idea looking at
I came up with the idea at the beginning of the season.
Oh, that's
Yeah,
great.
this has been. I was like, all right, at the first show in May, I'm just gonna look at the April numbers. I'm gonna look at I could have done like Mike Trout, but like he's actually good.
Yeah.
It had to be a guy that was just like I thought about doing who was it? There was someone who had a 101 weighted runs created plus that I was thinking about doing. I'm trying to remember who that is. Throughout the month, I gotta switch Fangraphs to qualified. I hate when you search for something on Fangraphs and it automatically comes up as people with 0 plate appearances rather than if they're qualified or not. I was thinking about doing Robbie Grossman, but I landed on Ian Happ.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. Question, is Carlos Santana available for this award or eligible for this award?
Cy Young never won a Cy Young award, so I'm going to say no.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. Yeah.
Unless there's like absolutely no other options. Like if somehow he has like a 30% walk rate and no one else has a walk rate above 10.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah. But
if the above replacement the S4, if the S4 is that different.
Yeah.
But yeah, I wonder if when they made that award in the 60s, if they debated like,
should it be like the old Hoss Bradburn award?
Should it be the old Hoss? Should it be the Walter
the Hugh
Johnson
Daly award?
Yeah, the Hugh Daly award. Should it be Lefty Grove? I don't know.
This is tough. I think Cy Young was just the easiest. It should be the Christy Mathewson award.
Yeah, right. Yeah. The Pete Alexander award. I don't know.
The Kid Nichols award.
Yeah, I mean the guy had a crazy winning percentage. He was amazing for the Boston Braves. But yeah, Cy Young Cy
Young just rolls off the tongue.
It sounds way cooler than all those.
And he was also, he was the. To be fair, they did this in the '60s, and Cy Young was, is obviously the all-time leader in wins.
Right.
So they're probably just like, well, this guy won more games than anybody else. He's the best pitcher we've ever seen.
Yeah, they weren't concerned with Lefty
They weren't like,
Groves.
well, look at his FIP though. He's only striking out like 3 guys per 9. Do we really want this to be the guy that we're representing now?
Yeah.
When did they come up with the word? The '60s.
I think it was like 61 or something like that, or 63. I don't know. It was
Yeah, Cy Young Cy Young leads pitcher WAR, F-WAR at least.
Yeah.
I think the Tim Keefe award would have been pretty cool too.
Yeah. They weren't concerned with Lefty Grove's 148 career ERA plus.
Yeah, no.
Not necessarily.
Introducing the 2021 Early Win Award winner, Jacob deGrom.
The Pud Galvin Award goes to
the Rube Waddell Award.
Right. But yeah,
the Eddie Plank Award, the Warren Spahn Award, the Bob Feller Award.
Man, what's the silliest it could get? I guess Old Hoss Award is the best.
The Old Hoss Award, maybe the Kid Nichols Award.
I think the Old Hoss Award should go to the lead
leader in innings pitched.
In innings pitched, yeah. Correct? Yeah.
Just so we can show some appreciation for that, because it is kind of a dying thing. But also, I feel like pitchers themselves have less control over their innings pitched nowadays.
Yeah, last year the winner would have been like Lance Lynn with 84 innings pitched.
I could see that. That makes sense. Give Lance Lynn the Old Hoss Award.
Yes, it fits. Yeah, he seems like a guy that would appreciate some Old Hoss.
Yeah.
But we have some intriguing, we have an intriguing week of baseball ahead of us. We have some series to talk about, to preview in the next week. So yeah, what series intrigued you for the week and weekend in the world of baseball ahead?
That is a good question. What am I looking at? You know what? I'm looking at Rays Angels. First of all, you got Ohtani Glass now today. That is
okay. Yeah,
that is awesome.
That's some fire flames coming at the batters.
Yeah, that is very cool. Ohtani Glass now. These are two teams that have, the Angels were sort of overperforming, and now they're back down to earth, 500. The Rays are just under 500. So I'm looking at those two teams today. You got Ohtani Glass now. That is must-watch TV. Tomorrow you have Shane McClanahan, who is throwing 102 in his first start against Jose Quintana who's rocking a 10.13 ERA. And then on Wednesday, you have The Rays haven't announced their starter, but whoever it is going to be going up against Alex Cobb. So, this is, and then the fourth game, it's a 4-game series. The other one is to be determined versus Andrew Heaney. So I believe the Rays are getting everyone in the Angels rotation except for Griffin Canning. Oh, and Dylan Bundy. They're not getting Dylan Bundy because they have a 6-man rotation because of Ohtani.
Right, yeah.
Yep.
For this upcoming, series of series, I guess you would call it. I mean, the baseball world is probably going to be tuned into Yankees Astros, as that is the first time they will be playing since the 2019 ALCS. First
and
of all,
it's gonna be at Yankee Stadium, so
it's in the Bronx.
You know what that atmosphere is gonna look like, even with the small crowd.
Yeah, there's gonna be about 10,000 people ready to boo all the Astros players from at least 2017. The Bregman Altuve.
No, they'll still boo like Kyle Tucker.
I guess that's true.
By affiliation, they'll be like, you suck, you cheater.
Yeah, he's like, I was just in AAA, man.
Yeah, poor Michael Brantley.
Yeah, I was over in Cleveland.
I was out here losing to them.
Right. Yeah.
I wasn't a fan of it either.
Yeah, I also am a victim of their behavior.
Yeah.
So that's definitely going to be interesting. From the baseball culture perspective, and it's
we both highlighted AL West versus AL East teams.
That's correct, yeah.
And for the weekend,
and Astros Yankees is always some good quality baseball in general.
It is. What am I looking at? You got the Freeway Series this weekend, but I won't do the Angels twice. Wow, the Padres and Giants are playing each other again.
Yeah,
that's crazy.
In the Bay this time, finally.
I'm looking at a series between the top 2 dogs in the American League Central. White Sox versus Kansas City is this weekend. It's obviously hard to predict pitching matchups when they aren't announced at this point, but on Friday in the opener, you got Carlos Rodon going for the White Sox. He's 4-0 with an 0.72 ERA.
Yeah,
that's pretty cool.
Yep.
The Royals obviously haven't announced their starters, but it's a 3-game series in Kansas City. The Royals have a 1.5-game lead over the White Sox currently.
Yeah. For the weekend, I think Dodgers Angels is going to be intriguing. Like, I wonder what the Dodgers momentum or Dodgers trend is going to be like.
Yeah.
Heading into that series, the Angels will be in their home stadium, and whatever pitching matchups are going to be pretty interesting, I would imagine. So it'll be a test for the Angels, probably tell us where the Angels and the Dodgers are at, with where they're going at this point in the season. So that'll be pretty interesting. But yeah, I guess that does it for this episode. We hope you enjoyed this one. If you want to follow us on social media, follow me on Twitter at Chris_Gianta. Follow Daniel on both Twitter and Instagram at Daniel_Kern. And follow the show Instagram at Above Replacement Radio for all the show updates. And we hope you enjoyed this one, and we hope to see you next week where we're talking all the same stuff, hopefully with some more topics at hand.
This might be our last. Should we make this our last week of one show a week? Because I'm down on Tuesday next week.
Yeah, we'll
discuss later.
Yeah, this will be our as the week officially starts this week.
Yeah. This
will be our last week of 1 episode a week, and then we will go back to 2 episodes a week. So we hope to see you next week where we start doing that. So yeah, see you then.
This conversation is over.